Okay, we'll go back into the sim. Perfect. So what you can see here is on the top you can see the turbulent air. Now I've not got my fingers on any controls whatsoever. The aircraft is pushing air down into the floor. If I go into camera mode, so you can see, and the air is hitting that floor and coming back up into the disc. I need to come out of that because I'm going to move. Okay, and that means it is stable. Okay, now if I put a notch of collective in, nothing happens. There's not enough force to drive through that bouncy air. And when I put a bit more collective in, look what happens, it just plummets. Okay, it wants to just throw you onto the floor. So it's really, you've got to be really wary of what the aircraft wants to do, particularly in the hover, okay, because you're going to get that ground effect. You see there what the air is doing to this helicopter. Perfect, right, that's enough of that. So you've got to be wary of what your actual downwash is doing as well. Where are we? It's floating faces, isn't it? We'll turn that off, we don't need that on. Perfect. Okay, so at this point, usually you'd ask the tower controller to take off and all that lot, but we're not. We're just going to go straight into and onto the runway. So again, we're going to lift slightly by about 2 to 8 feet. There you go. Nice and slowly. One more notch. Again, just bearing in mind how snatchy this is, that might want to actually launch me into the air. And we'll hover. There you go. There's that little bit of airspeed to the aircraft wanted to climb. And we'll turn in here nicely. And again, snatchy yaw coming up. I'll try and do it gently. There we go. And we're just going to get it onto the runway. Perfect. Now at this point, the aircraft's going to probably, in your game, it'll probably, there you go, I'm moving left. Let's move to the right. It will probably want you to contact the controller. And that's when you'll do it. You'll hover here and then you'll request takeoff. Okay, so we have a look here now, and we're going to stay in that hover now. Now I'm using the end of the runway as my reference, where I want that point in. So I'm going to sit here. You're always going to get a bit of movement. You're never going to stay perfectly still. I'm going to add a little bit more collective. And that's going to add height. Now what we do now, at the same time, to take off, we point our nose slightly forward, and you'll see the aircraft, now we're getting some speed through the air. I've only clicked one notch of collective, and it wants to throw itself up in the air. Okay, a little bit unrealistic, but because we've now got forward speed, it wants to throw us up. Now we can see here we've got a good positive airspeed of 45 knots, happy for the climb, so we're going to carry on the climb. And all we're going to do now is we're going to fly over to St. Bart's. Now, what happens now? So if I take my hands off the controls, look what happens. I'm just going to leave it to do its thing. At this point, the assistants are trying to help you. Okay, if I had taken my hands off the controls in ordinary mode without all the assists on, it's not gonna help me. It's just gonna crash. Now, what this has done now, let's put me into a climb. You can see by my altimeter on the right side, a climb. Bear in mind, I've added no extra collective, and it will just carry on going until the air's that dense that it can't push me up anymore, and I'll just enter a hover. Okay, so be wary of that. The aircraft has its own mind about what it wants to do. Right, so we need to get back down from there, so we're going to put the collective in, and we're going to put the collective down, and you can see here now, it's coming down. Now watch what happens now, it's going to want to come back up again. It might take a minute, but it will come back up. There you go, you see it coming up there, 510, 495, they're kind of settled again now. We're descending really slowly, okay? It'll take me about half hour to get down here, and we're just hovering, okay? So again, these aircraft, they're quite easy. You can see now we are in the hover now. So I'm doing absolutely nothing. This shows just how much the AI can help you if you let it help you. But we are really neat there in the hover and into wind. You can see that whilst I am still, it's showing an airspeed of 2 knots. As you can see, oh, other way. Come back down here. A little bit of speed there, and obviously in my bottom left. Okay, that's the air, that's the wind, okay? We are not moving, you can see here we are not moving. Okay, so this aircraft will stay here for as long as you want it to, okay, so long as you're pointing to wind. We don't want to do that, we want to fly. The next thing we're going to talk about is trim. So I'm going to set this up for 100 knot speed, and look what happens. So I'm going to turn using the really snatchy yaw to where I want to go, which is going to be this island over there. So you can just see it. If I go onto my map, that's St. Bart's over there, and you can see my flight plan. It's taking me left and round, but I want to go to St. Bart's. So, at the moment, again, I'm not controlling this helicopter at all. It's doing it all itself in that hover. You see my airspeed now has dropped to 0, and that is because we've now turned out of wind, okay? If I turn it back into wind, we'll have the wind speed down our pitos and giving us that. Black screen. I've not got a black screen. So I've got the stream on my iPad and I can't see it's black. Do you want to try and come in and come back out again? You can't see a thing. Okay, let me try and come in on another device and I'll see if it's a problem with the stream, whether it's a problem on your side, Robbo. If I go to here, just give me a second. Let's see. The flying engineer. Okay, let's have a look, see if I can see it. No, so I've not got a black screen. It took a second to load then. I had a black screen when it first put me in, but then it's come back to normal now. So it might be worth, I don't know if you want to quickly... oh, it's all good. Just seen it. Perfect. Cool. So I don't know how much you've seen so far. So all we're doing now is just demonstrating that actually with the AI controls on the game, once you've got it set, I've not got any buttons being pressed here at all. And it's set me in a 1250 foot hover at 0 airspeed. Okay, this will never happen in real life. It wouldn't work. And all we're going to do now is we're going to talk about basically the flying to a point. If you have missed any of the stream, it is going to be available straight after. So at the moment we can see really stable here, but what happens when you put in a little bit of control? Let's put the little bit of forward flight in. See that? It's really sensitive, okay? Now if I come back inside, I'm going to let the AI take control and put it into its hover. You can see it's just struggling a little bit, but I'm going to let it do it because it will do it. There you go. Now look what happens when I put in that really heavy input. It just goes crazy, okay? And this is what happens sometimes, is people get that urge to struggle to fight that helicopter. So they're coming in to land somewhere and they're like this, and they're, oh my god, what's going on here? And they start struggling, okay? So it's really important that the controls that you make are all small. Now this is where the other element comes into play. If we turn our attention back towards St. Bart's, is trim. Now hopefully you have used trim in your Cessnas. It's exactly the same in here. Obviously in a Cessna you've not got the ability to trim your controls. It literally just sets some tabs up on your elevators to go up or down. These helicopters are a little bit different. So these have got what are called parallel actuators in them, and using this knob here, that's the winch one, this one here, you can set trim. So if I was to push that one click up, it's going to set my nose one click down. If I was to bring that one click back, it's going to set my nose one click up. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you that now. I don't think this works where you can see it click, but to trim this aircraft, you hold R1 and you push forward one notch on your right analog stick. Now watch what happens when I do one full click. See that nose and that horizon go down slightly. Now watch that airspeed in the bottom left. It popped up to 1. Okay, it's not doing anything now. It was 1 click, it was 1 division. The aircraft's not doing anything. Look what happens when I do it again. Another click, nothing. Okay, so with the trim, you can see that to initially get you kicking off, you've got to actually put more than the 1 click in. Look what's happening now. My airspeed on the bottom left, I haven't put any further clicks in, is fluctuating between 1 and 0. So if I now let's put 5 clicks in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that nose coming down more. Watch the airspeed is going to increase as I come forward. See what's happening? And the aircraft's now moving to the left slightly. And you can see now that I'm picking up speed with those 5 clicks. But also, important to note, is the vertical speed. Look what's happening to my height. I'm dropping out of the sky. Okay, my aircraft is not properly trimmed for what I want. So to stop that, I'm just going to pull back on that stick slightly and then use this horizon here to balance myself out. That was 5 clicks on the trim. Now if you have a look now, we're heading towards our destination at 90 knots. Okay, and if you have a look at our vertical speed is settling between around -50 to 50. Okay, we're bouncing. Now because these aircraft don't have autopilot, we are constantly up and down on our controls. And what's difficult here sometimes as well is once we're in really effective forward flight and we've got our nose pointed fully towards the sea, I'll show you in a minute, bearing in mind that if I put my nose down, you can see at the moment my vertical speed is falling. If I put my nose down to the ground, look what happens to my vertical. Actually, I'll tell you what, let me climb a little bit first here, because otherwise I am going to go into the sea and that will be embarrassing. Now I haven't raised the collective here, I haven't pressed X, I've pulled back on my stick. So again, by changing the angle of drive on that rotor head, I'm not going to use my collective lever. I'm going to pull back on my stick, watch my height will come up, and then if I push down, my aircraft's going to fly down, okay? So a lot of people think as well that when you're using your collective lever, your X and your circle, this thing, it's going to send you up and down. Your pitch can also do that, okay? So it's something to be really wary of. So let's have a look what happens when we come up to around 1,000 feet. Because that's enough to recover it. We'll keep coming up, and again I'm controlling this all by my pitch now. Okay, cool. And once we're there, let's turn around. We'll go back to where we want to go, which is, that's Princess Juliana Airport there, and St Bartholomew is the island over there. So again, now we're cruising at 26 knots and at 1,000 feet. Now watch what happens when I put my nose fully down. My airspeed is coming up quite rapidly. My altitude is dropping just as rapidly. I've lost all orientation now. I have no idea where I am. I'm plummeting towards the sea, okay? And I'm just going to pull up now so I can get that horizon back. And you can see here that as I drop my nose, watch the attitude indicator, that also drops. Okay, so that's what gives you a really good relationship between the horizon there, always trust the horizon, and your attitude indicator. Okay, but it just shows you how the controls have an effect where you think it's going to send you forwards and backwards, it also sends you up and down. So let's look at stable helicopter flight now. Okay, so we've already gone into the hover. And if you have a look now, I'm going to trim. So again, using R1 forward and back, and I'm just going to trim for 100 knots. So again, look what happens with 1 click. The nose wants to go fully down, so I'm going to pull back slightly. I'm going to bring that nose up so I'm not falling out of the sky, okay? Now these are the movements you have to do all the time. You have to be monitoring this all the time, because as much as you trim on this, the aircraft and the way it's designed on here wants to do different things. Now I'm going to add a little bit more collective so we can get more speed. We need a bit more thrust and power going through that head. Once I do that, the altitude's going to climb, and as I do that, I put the nose down a little bit further. You'll see it come down now, and my speed's going to increase. And then as I put my nose down further, my speed will increase, but I'll start descending. Okay, so you have to be aware of the relationship between your cyclic stick and your collective. I think I've done raised that point to death. And we'll talk about, once we get over to St Bart's, we'll talk about how we start to slow the aircraft down to get it into a hover. But for now, all we're going to do is literally